Welcome again. This is Career Planning and Job Etiquette, another session on the Ghana Virtual Career Fair. And we're very, very pleased to introduce our panelists for the discussion this afternoon. Richmond Carlos Otu is the Head of Sales and Marketing at DHL Global Forwarding, Ghana. Grace Kafui Adosu is the Head of Recruitment at Amalitech. And Jane Mingle is the Chief Distribution Officer at Prudential Life Insurance. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you once again for joining us for our discussion on career planning and job etiquette.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's great to have all of you here. Let's get right into it, shall we? We've had some good discussions this morning on the new world of work and being an entrepreneur post-COVID and all of that. But we're talking about career planning here for people who maybe are feeling like they're a bit in limbo or they're not sure what they should do, especially in this post-coronavirus environment. So let's start off with this, and we'll do a ladies' affair for our first question. For Jane and Grace, at what stage in life do you think one should start planning their career?
Okay, so if I can go first, let me just start by touching on the importance of planning your career. Okay, so the career you choose will determine your success in life, actually. And taking a wrong decision can actually prevent you from realizing your full potential in life. And I would say that is somewhat a pathetic situation. It can lead to dissatisfaction, actually. And we have this adage or saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so that shows the importance actually of career planning. Now, from my experience, I believe that it is very important to begin your career planning at the basic education level. So in Ghana, we have like the junior high school. Now, before you get to the final year in junior high school, you should have an idea of your interests, the courses that actually you have a passion for. And because at the basic education level, you get to write your BEC, and at that stage, you select courses you would take for your senior high school. And that actually determines the career path you are charting. So it actually starts from the basic education level. It is therefore critical to begin at this stage. Yeah.
Let's hear from you on this, Jane, as well. And I'm interested in what Grace said, because some might say that's a bit too early. Because I don't know about you guys, but I remember writing down goals when I was a kid, and they've gone through so many changes. You know, perhaps at that age, you feel as though you want to go in one direction, but then along the line, your plans could change. So again, Jane, let's get your take on this as well, on when you should start planning for your career.
I would say we start even from early childhood. And the early childhood bit is taken up by our parents. So our parents at our early childhood should be able to identify our interests as a child. And I think everybody has an inborn trait. You know, our careers and our talents and our gifts are quite aligned. So at early childhood, our parents trying to identify where our interests are will be the first guide to our career progression. Now, when we get to the JHS and SSS, you look at where your strength is in terms of subjects. So what is my interest? Am I good in the social sciences? Am I good in the sciences? Sometimes we want to be doctors, but we don't have what it takes to be doctors. So I believe that our interest should align with our capacity, so that when you know that maybe I'm good in math, the question you ask is, what are the career path for people who like math? So out of this pool that you have, then you can decide on which career path you would take, and that will be the next step for you. Now, as you get to senior secondary school, you might be shortlisting. So assuming math is my interest, okay, I can do computing, I can do engineering, but once I get to senior secondary school, do I really want to do computing, or I want to do engineering? So you start shaping up what career you want to take based on your interest. Now, when you get to university, then you have to decide, where you really want to go, whether I'm doing engineering or whatever. So you start from early days, aligning your interests and your capabilities. And let me also add this, that it's very important that once you are in university, we start our professional course. So we'll go there to get our bachelor's degree. And sometimes we finish school before we start doing anything professional. At that time, I think we are getting too old. So we need to align whilst in school, start your professional studies while you are taking your degree courses. By the time you graduate, you have both. And it's a good way to start your career.
That's a nice perspective. Okay, how about this? There are so many people, I'm sure you've encountered them, Jane, Grace, Richard, who maybe they have a passion for something, but they're not supported in that area. So you've got someone who is very brilliant, they love sports, a young boy who loves to play football. That's what he's passionate about. That's where his interests lie. His parents say, no, you're a brilliant boy, you're going to be a doctor. So he goes throughout his educational life, studying science, going to study medicine. At the end of it all, he's not passionate about it. It isn't his interest, but he had to go along with it because that is what his parents are paying the fees. So he's got to do that. So his career passion or interest lies in sports, but he's being led another way by his parents. By the time he finishes university, he's probably too old to even go and pursue that career as a footballer. Right. Maybe he could be a coach or something else. So you find yourself in a bit of a quagmire with what you're passionate or interested in, what you're supported to pursue. How do you marry the two?
So, Kokwe, I think this is very common in Ghana, and I actually experienced it, but my mom really understood. Actually, she wanted me to be a doctor, and I didn't see myself being a doctor. I just couldn't see myself working as a doctor, and I told her that no, I think that I want to take the business administration path, okay, because just seeing blood actually freaks me out, So there's no way I could have been a doctor, and she actually understood and allowed me. So this one, I think the parents really need to understand, and students should explain to them that no, I don't have this interest. Trust me, if you take a course that you are not interested in, or a career path that you don't have any interest in, it will be very frustrating. Trust me, every day going to work will be a nightmare for you, and you don't want that.
Yeah. I agree, it will be a nightmare. Okay, right. We can talk about that a little bit more, but let's talk about unforeseen circumstances. So you've got instances where you plan, you go along, maybe you pursue what you love, maybe you don't. But then we've got COVID. COVID came and surprised everybody in 2020 and has literally changed the world. So you can plan your career meticulously. There are some people who are very good at planning. They know everything from A to Z. They've planned out everything. Then along comes a pandemic and totally changes all of those plans. What advice would you give to someone, Richmond, with you on this one, for someone who had very well laid out plans, but their plans have been thwarted by either this pandemic or maybe another unforeseen circumstance? What advice would you give them to get back on track?
Hi, Kopi. So thank you so much for the question. So clearly, like you rightly mentioned, nobody saw COVID happening at all. Even the pastors and the men of God that we expected would have foretold or seen some things like this happen. Nobody saw it. And in the business space, everybody planned. People had put up time for events and programs and expansion for their businesses. But you asked a very good question, because in uncertain times, and I was watching a video this morning, a DJ Khaled video actually, where he said, when times are tough, push hard. When times are okay, push harder. We find a lot of times that when business or everything is going on well, or people plan, they tend to leave a lot of things to chance, right? They do not factor in the uncertainties. And COVID at this point is an uncertainty, right? We do not envisage it. But in modern times like this, there are tools that there are tools available that help you to try and innovate your business, right? Because today the conventional mama papa shop is not working. I would even say today a lot of the people that are selling on Instagram and selling on Facebook might even be making money more than people that actually have shops, right? So if you have planned to open your boutique or launch a makeup shop online, today that's not possible. So you need to look for e-solutions, which is one way to try and innovate and see how you can connect customers to your business and still make revenue. A very good example was a friend that runs a bakery started a Zoom class, right? So you would join a WhatsApp group and she would arrange Zoom classes every evening for those that, of course, work within the day. And then you could have classes. But the innovation was free Zoom gives you 45 minutes, right? So she would take you through the basics. And at the end of the session, tell you that there's a paid group that if you really want to learn how to bake and have an in-room session or join an online paid session, you could join that. So in that way, she had to look at ways that even though we had social distancing, we had all these policies, still get people to connect with the fact that people have the passion and want to learn how to bake. But today we have COVID, and then still organize a session, a full-blown session where she could actually generate revenue. For me, that's just one instance, right? And there are a lot of ways people can look at reinventing their business model such that you incorporate things like online sessions. And today, if you look at schools, right? Schools are closed and parents' knowledge still has to be transferred to the children. So a lot of schools are finding ways to either organize online classes or send by WhatsApp the course material to parents, and parents have become the teachers. But that's what happens when things like this happen. If you don't plan or you're not setting something like this is going to happen, definitely once it happens, you need to look at innovative ways to try and incorporate that into your business.
Very nice. And it's interesting how you mentioned like the homeschooling, for instance, which it's been amazing and it has been horrible from my perspective for me and my kids. Amazing in that it still enabled them to keep learning while we deal with this whole pandemic thing, and horrible in that it's stressful. There's so many things to coordinate for multiple children, etc. But it's interesting how quickly we've adapted to all of this. And I think, as you were saying, Andrews, you've got to think of ways to adapt when what you've planned has to change because of something you didn't really plan for. I think we all really had to adapt in a lot of ways in this post-COVID environment. Grace, do you want to give some comments on that? And then we'll move on to some issues to do with job etiquette, since this is about career planning and job etiquette.
Yes, so I think I agree with what Richmond said. Actually trying to do what you do online. Okay, I mean, the online stuff have really helped us, having meetings online, having training sessions online. That is the new normal. And so if you don't have such skills, you just need to upgrade yourself and make yourself still relevant in the job market.
Very quickly from you as well, Jane.
Yeah, so I think that whatever you do, it's your passion that brings the excellence. So in this COVID period, maybe you have a profession, you feel like I can switch, that's what I do. So I'm sure people might still be at home, not wanting to do anything. But I think you can have kinky sellers and watch sellers who make more than people, professional people, but they are making it because of the excellence that they bring on board with what they do. So I think we need to be flexible in this COVID period. If you lost your job, whatever, be flexible to take up anything, and then just put your mind to it, have passion. And then with excellence, I think you can get through life.
I like that. Put the passion in there. Excellence. Okay, now, again, it's a new normal. We're using a lot of technology, as we're doing right now on this call, with all of us taking part in the Ghana Virtual Career Fair. So we're relying a lot more on things like this: Zoom, MS Teams, WhatsApp, Google Docs. There's so much technology out there that is helping us to communicate remotely and to still do our jobs. But with all of this, maybe we shouldn't forget that there are still some things that we need to keep in mind when we're interacting with people, things that have to do with etiquette. So can you let us know your thoughts on, say, technology etiquette and what people should be keeping in mind as we're meeting remotely, taking classes remotely, etc. Some technology etiquette pointers from all of you. Let's start with Richmond on this one, sorry. Richmond.
I would start by saying that as we present ourselves for these meetings, we should not be distractive as much as possible, because there is always a speaker and everybody has to listen. So there is the tendency to get distracted and not really listening to the message. So I think it's important that whatever that we do in terms of the way we address, the way we present ourselves, whatever we do with the background, the noise around.
Thanks for Kokwi. So very importantly, what just happened right now? So having internet, having stable internet connection and ensuring that. That's key. So what I have done now, because I'm using my phone to connect, is I put my phone on flight mode.
Richmond, did you say stable internet connection? I love my country, but we all know stable internet connection and Ghana are like,
it doesn't work, especially when it's raining.
We do our best. But
I just switched off the main line and still it didn't work.
Exactly. How can you control that, Richmond? You have no control over data.
Okay, so two things that don't work in Ghana, right? When it comes to things like this. One is when it rains, light goes off and internet goes off, right?
Yeah.
So what I try to do is I have, and I don't know if you noticed when I joined the call initially, I was having a lot of breaks. So I have a backup line. So I have my home Wi-Fi and I have a Cepline modem where when I realize that one of them is acting up, I just switch. Of course, not everybody can afford that. But today, a lot of people have multiple phones that have 2 SIMs, right? So if your phone has 2 SIMs and you need to be on an online interview or an online meeting, it will make sense that, or it will help that you load data on both of them. Either you're using Vodafone and MTN and Glo, Tigo, whoever, right? Such that in the event that one fails, and we know they all fail, you can at least switch. But the interesting thing is they don't all fail at the same time. So you can have that as a backup, right? Just in terms of a backup. Then also, in terms of talking audibly, right? And just to highlight, so I joined the previous sessions that were on today. And for one of them, I realized that there was a lot of echo when one of the presenters spoke. What happens then, it tends to dilute the sort of information that is being passed on, right? Because the people are now struggling to assimilate the information. So it's important that you find an environment where, of course, the sound is not bouncing off the walls and giving a bit of an echo. So those are just the 2 points, and I'll allow Grace to, of course, add more.
All right, so the internet issue is very interesting. We had several online interviews recently, and the major challenge has been internet. And I like what Richmond said. You should be able to, swap. If MTN is not working, you go to Vodafone. If Vodafone is not working, you try another network. And hopefully that should be the solution to this problem, since you have no control over it. Now, if you are scheduled for an online meeting, you should ensure you are punctual. I mean, punctuality is really killing us in Ghana. And the fact that it's online doesn't mean you shouldn't be punctual. You should just treat it just like a face-to-face meeting. Yeah, and there are the issues of the hardware, other peripherals. You need to ensure your mic, your speakers, etc. are working perfectly before the meeting. And usually when we have such meetings, there are instructions to adhere to. You ensure you adhere to all these instructions. When a speaker is speaking and you are not speaking, you keep your mic on mute to ensure that the meeting goes on smoothly. And I think for job seekers, there's one thing I noted, like sharing documents like CVs and all that through Google Drive. I had an experience with one candidate. He actually shared his CV, but then he didn't give me the permission to access the CV. This is something candidates should take note of. You are applying for a job, you need to give the recruiter access to your CV or whatever documents you are using to apply. Yeah, I think those are the few points I raise.
Okay, very nice. For all of you, as recruiters, as managers, can you share with us some of the etiquette faux pas that you've observed from job candidates or employees, in addition to what you just mentioned with regard to that? Those are more technology related, but as far as job etiquette in general, what are some of the things that have stood out to you and that you would advise job seekers to avoid doing at all costs? We have just a few minutes to go, so I'll just take those responses very quickly from all of you.
I think one thing that stood out for me in the last interview that I handled was somebody who has been very jovial, so they ask you, how much money do you want to take? Oh, if you really give me $1 million cedis, I'll take it. So clearly this is somebody who is not serious, so I think we should take interviews very serious, and based on the panel, you don't know what background they have, you don't know what the personality that they have. So I think you just need to be nice and very presentable, but not to go overboard, So I think it's one thing we need to take note, be very serious, not be jovial, no jokes, nothing like that. Interviews have to be, it's a formal exercise, and I think we need to handle it as such. Thanks.
Thank you. So they don't, not too serious, but not jovial, no joking. Pleasant, but no joking. So they shouldn't frown, but they should be serious. I got it. Thank you, Jane. All right, Richmond and then Grace.
I would want to highlight on appearance, right? So you would find that, and of course, considering we have a high unemployment rate, you would find that certain people are applying for formal jobs but still running their side businesses or trying to hustle and make a living until they get a formal job. But it's important to know that once you're scheduled for an interview and you need to appear before a panel, that's not a time where you are arranging for dispatch to come and meet you to pick up an item to go deliver because you run an online business. Or that's not a time where you are in Accra Central trying to purchase an item to go give to a customer. That's a time where you need to be in the space where you reduce as much as possible the noise, right? And the way you present yourself, right? You can't come, I think there's this MTN advert where the guy finishes an interview and stands up and is dancing, and he was only in a suit, and I think the under was his boxer shorts or something. So it's very important that you come fully presented, because you don't know, right? You might be having an online interview and you might just want to get up and get some water to drink, and you get up and then probably you're naked below, God forbid, and that's what people see. So it's the same way you would prepare. You prepare yourself. With the ladies, you want to do some makeup, put on your wig and look all presentable, because remember, that person is not seeing you in person. The only thing the person had seen about you till now is your CV, and the CV has more or less foretold who you are. But now the person has a chance to meet you facially, right? And facial expressions and the way you present yourself are very important. So that, for me, is one thing that the person needs to be mindful of. Okay, you are dressed very beautifully, handling this event and with the rest of the ladies, right? Let's imagine you were sitting in your porch or in your garden somewhere. In the background, you would have a lot of birds and noise and all that. So it's best to avoid that.
Very, very quickly, Grace, in 10 seconds. I can't believe our session is over already, but your thoughts on this in 10 seconds.
Okay, so I think Richmond already touched on the noise. We had an experience recently, candidate joining interviews, and then you hear like birds chirping around. I mean, you need to select your location carefully. It should be like an office setting, a place where there will be no noise to distract the interviewer. And also, let me touch on applicants not following instructions during the application process. Now you are told to attach a document in PDF, then you go on and attach a document in Word. You have clearly not followed instructions, and for me, I would disqualify you straight away. Now, bad phone manners as well. You get to call candidates. We do a lot of phone calls now, and you get to call a candidate and it was like, who are you? You know, very bad phone manners. you know you've applied for a job and you can get a call anytime. That is something applicants should consider, bad phone manners. And
Grace, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
He's here
Right.
and so little time. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. Richmond, Grace, Jane, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being part of the inaugural Ghana Virtual Career Fair, and hopefully we'll have many more great conversations like this in the near future. Thank you so much. And that's our session.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Have a great day.